The Albanese government has ruled out shutting the border with Indonesia as fears grow about a potential outbreak of foot and mouth disease here in Australia. It's been estimated an outbreak could deliver an $80 billion blow to the economy over the next 10 years. Joining me now is the Chief Executive of the Northern Territory Cattlemen's Association, Will Evans. Will, thanks for your time today. We were just hearing there some specific impacts that are predicted in Queensland if foot and mouth was to take hold. What about in your part of the world, in the Northern Territory, the cattle industry, such a big part of the economy? I mean, what sort of predictions are you looking at if we were to see the disease arrive here?
Well, Matt, look, I think if FMD was to be found in any part of Australia, whether it's Tasmania, whether it's New South Wales or whether it's the Northern Territory, the effects on trade would be consistent across the board, and we'd see loss of access to pretty much all of our trading partners and all of our export markets. So for us as a 70% export industry, the effects would be profound if it was to be identified in Australia.
The government's introduced some measures, including sanitiser and foot mats at airports. We heard the Minister, Murray Watt, there saying that they should be up and running in the next couple of days. Is the government, in your view, doing enough and acting quickly enough on this issue?
Look, I think we probably had a bit of a slow start to taking this as seriously as we needed to, but the measures that have been introduced since the disease was detected in Bali have strengthened our response at the borders. The Northern Territory government, or certainly some of the members of the Northern Territory government, have been pushing for foot mats for some time. Cattle industry has been pushing for foot mats for some time, and we do welcome them being implemented into airports. They may not necessarily be the most scientifically, valid response, but what they are is a reminder to absolutely every traveller coming back from Indonesia that biosecurity is very important for everybody, and it's one that we all need to be playing a part in.
What about there's been this discussion, Will, about whether or not we should close the border to Indonesia. I mean, do you think that that's a measure that we should be considering?
Look, it's a really difficult one. Certainly amongst our membership, there's a number of different views of what we should be doing in terms of border closures or keeping the borders open. Ultimately, the discussions that we've had and what we've come to in terms of our position is trying to think about it in the event that we had an outbreak here, and what would we be asking for from our trading partners. And most likely what we'd be asking for is for assistance, understanding and patience as we dealt with an outbreak in Australia. And we've come to the position that you don't need to close the borders with Indonesia. We do need absolutely heightened border responses, but we need to be supporting Indonesia through this difficult period for them as best as we can. They are a massive and very significant trading partner to the beef industry in Northern Australia, and we need to be working with them as best as we can and assisting them in their time of need.
Your industry knows only too well, Will, the impact when the trade is shut down overnight, as happened in 2011 under the Gillard government when it banned live exports. That ban only lasted for a few weeks, but the implications of that ban continued for several years and really did a huge amount of damage to our relationship with Indonesia. Would we run the risk of doing similar damage to that relationship if we did close those borders?
Look, I don't think it would be welcomed by the Indonesians. I can say that much for sure. They need as much assistance as we can offer in this situation. For them, coming through 2 years of a global pandemic, just starting to reopen their borders, starting to receive tourism again and see their economy take a bit of a health hit, to be then landed with a foot and mouth disease outbreak across 22 provinces in Indonesia is devastating for them. So it's of absolutely vital importance that we remain a solid trading partner with them, and we offer all assistance that we can during what is going to be a prolonged and very difficult battle for them to get the disease under control.
David Littleproud was on Sky News this morning. He says that we should be stopping any food stuff coming into Australia from Indonesia. Do you think that that would be an appropriate move?
Look, I think those are measures that we need to take scientific advice on. We have some very capable people who work for the Federal Department of Agriculture who will be making those sorts of risk assessments, and we support them in doing that. Look, Matt, if I had my way, I'd dip everyone in bleach when they came back, but I can't do that. So there's obviously a number of steps that need to be assessed for their scientific efficacy and how appropriate they are. And look, we're relying on the Federal Department of Agriculture and obviously the Federal Minister in making those assessments and implementing those sorts of decisions as the science tells them they should.
And you're obviously down in Canberra trying to get in the minister's ear this week, no doubt. Will Evans from the Northern Territory Cattlemen's Association, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, mate.